First one is I wanted to talk about Grove Racing and they're not continuing with Richie Stanaway. A lot of people were crying out about it, saying, "Oh, he's been screwed over. He's being unfairly treated." I think it's a lot of rubbish. I think that Groves knew exactly what they were doing when they signed the Bathurst winner. And it's the exact same situation as when they signed Lee Holdsworth for 2022. Basically, they couldn't get the guy they wanted at the right time, so they signed somebody else who perhaps deserved a chance. So we have to wind the clock back to 2021. Kelly Grove Racing, the Kellys were selling out of that team, and Groves were buying into it to become the majority owners. So during that year, we saw the Groves were a key presence in that team, and we really didn't see much Kelly involvement. Todd Kelly was just, he's a quiet sort of guy, likes to go about his business without having to be the spokesperson for the team all the time. And so the Groves were getting involved. There were a couple of things silly season-wise. Andre Heimgartner decided that he did not want to continue with the team, and one of the things he said about why he didn't continue with the Groves and why he went to BJR is because he wanted a multi-year deal. So presumably he was maybe only offered a 2-year deal, and he wanted a 3 or a 4-year deal, which is what he got at BJR. He got a very long deal. We're here in the 3rd year of it, so he might have quietly extended. I haven't looked too deeply into that, but they had David Reynolds as well, who was on a multi-year deal, and it was the first of the 2-year deal, so they kept that. Another thing that was happening in 2021 was Groves found Matt Payne, and they put him in Super 2. They rushed him in as quick as they could, tested him. I think they ran him in an Ultima, a Nissan Altima at Winton, gave him a test and went, "Yep, this is the guy we want. Let's put him in at Sydney Motorsport Park." And that's what they did. Ran him in Sydney Motorsport Park, and he was immediately fast. He was very impressive straight away. So we were all pretty excited, like, "Oh, Matt Payne's really good." And Groves wanted to try and put him in the main game for 22, but they couldn't because he needed to do a certain number of rounds in Super 2 to be allowed to compete in the main game. What they had to do, so they talked to Lee Holdsworth, who was doing a magical job for Walkinshaw at Bathurst, won the Bathurst 1000, and so they were talking to Lee before he did Bathurst, and it's a similar story with Richie Stanaway. They were talking to Richie before he won Bathurst. Just an interesting little thing going on there. They didn't really care what the result was going to be. They thought they would give a guy a shot as just a placeholder for the guy they really wanted. And we go into 2022, Lee Holdsworth and David Reynolds, and it's billed as a shootout. Whoever's the best gets to keep their seat. And Lee decided that he'd just had enough. He wanted to retire. He had a taste of it in 2021, so he was happy to get on the bench. And he made it. They had a good time of it. He ran up the front at Bathurst, where he co-drove with Matt Payne as a bit of a nice changing of the guard. It was retiring on your own terms. And of course, David smashed him all year. So we get into 2023. I guess Dave was only given a 1-year extension for 23. During 2023, it was Matt Payne's rookie season, Dave versus Matt. Matt Payne was signed on a couple-year deal, and they were already talking at Adelaide about, we've got him on a long-term deal. They extended it after he won at Adelaide, just to cement, yes, this is the guy we want, and we want to lock him down for the future because he's doing everything we want him to do. They offered David a 1-year deal. Do you want to do 24? And Dave's like, no, I want to do 24 and 25. And Groves are going, well, we're not so sure about what we want to be doing in 2025, so we're not going to be offering that. But Richie was happy to take a 1-year deal. So when people go, Richie got shafted. Richie knew what he was stepping into, and he was probably a bit more optimistic. Thought, oh, I'll be able to do well in this environment. And evidently he has struggled against Matt Payne. He's struggled because he's been going to a lot of different tracks that he hasn't been to in a long time. There you go, it is what it is. Groves are all about youth, right? So that's why they tried to put Matt Payne in as quick as they could, and he's been brilliant. In 2023, they might have been looking at Kai Allen, and Kai Allen was very impressive in 2022. When he was in Super 3, he was very impressive in the Super 3 car. In 2023, he was very quietly impressive, and then he ended up winning the championship at the end of the year. Just kept chipping away, started winning some races, getting some podiums, boom, then he wins the championship. It was probably a bit late in proceedings for them to know what they wanted, so that I guess, when did that happen? In August, I think, something like that, July, August. They signed Richie. It was just a bit too... They didn't want to make a last-minute decision. I think Groves are pretty strong with their decision-making process. They go, look, we're gonna do it around this time. We're not, and if the driver that we want for next year isn't quite up to scratch yet, we're gonna give some other guy 1 year. Of course, now 12 months after signing Richie, they've decided we're not going to re-sign Richie on another deal. We're going to sign Kai Allen because he's been super impressive in his second year, potentially going to win back-to-back Super 2 titles. They've assigned him on a long-term deal, just like Matt Payne. And it's been a consistent story of the Groves that that's what they want to do. They want to sign young guys coming through who are really talented, and they're offering 1 year deals to these experienced guys. And that's just the way they want to operate, and it's their team, so that's fine. That's my little video about it. I thought it would be an interesting subject. It's just a factor of the matter. This is what Groves do. It's not about whether Richie deserves more. He knew what he was going into, and he hasn't been competitive against Matt Payne. It's been pretty difficult for him all year. He's had his moments where he's been in the top 10. He's been a solid driver, but he has not been impressive, which is the key point. You got to be impressive. You can't just be there. You can't be banking points all year. We don't want that. We want somebody who's going to be poking it up the front and doing something impressive. Here we go. Those are my thoughts.